guys, welcome back to the Rake. We have a very special guest today. We have Kristen Bicknell, Canadian poker pro. She is in the top 10 GPI rankings right now, not just for women, but overall. So very impressive. She is a Party Poker sponsored pro for quite a few years now. So we're gonna ask her about that, what it's like being a sponsored pro, and a whole host of other topics today. So welcome, Chrissy. How's it going?
Awesome. Thanks. Good. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to actually talk to humans that don't live in my house once in a while.
Yeah.
So you in Toronto, or where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Toronto.
Are you from there?
Yeah. I'm from about an hour away from there, near Niagara Falls. And then I lived in Ottawa for a long time. I don't know how familiar you are with Canadian geography, but
yeah.
I just got a place here, I guess, around 3 years ago or so. It just seemed like a good place to kind of have as like a home base. I'm close to the airport and I was traveling a lot. I have like a little condo, so it's just easy, like low maintenance.
That's awesome. Yeah, yep. Swaggy and I thought about coming there when we have to leave the UK, but we can't. But maybe in like post-COVID, we'll make it over there.
Yeah, awesome. For sure.
Very cool. So I was catching up on some of your social media in the last couple of days, knowing we were going to have you on, and I particularly liked the blog post that you posted about Start Again, from the Sam Harris pod. And do you want to give everyone like a quick lesson in what that means? Because I found it very helpful for right now, where every day is the same, and sometimes you get in the habit of just, oh, today I eat garbage and I don't work out and I play poker poorly and I don't study. Tell us a little bit about Start Again.
Sounds like lots of my days. Yeah, so the blog post that I wrote was definitely inspired from, well, first let me say, I tried to do meditation programs for the last probably, 6 years or something. Like, was the first time I ever tried. And I hated it. I hated meditation. I was just always like, it's not for me. Like, even yoga, I had a hard time doing. I would go to a yoga class and I'm like, I need to sweat, I need to work hard, and like just had a really hard time with that type of activity. And I don't know, fortunately enough, it was recommended to me, the Waking Up app, and I started doing it actually right when the whole like quarantine stuff started. And a concept that he talks about a lot, which kind of helped me get over the part of meditation that I guess I always felt like I failed at it. And like right away when I had 200 thoughts, I was like, oh, I failed, I suck. Like, I can't do this. And early on in the course, he talks about like, as soon as you notice that, like, just start again. And it's just sort of this way of reframing, like, it's okay. And we just start again in the present moment. We don't have to bring like the past or even this moment of, oh, wow, I just thought of like 300 different things at once. And now it's going to ruin my whole meditation session. And just trying to understand that, like, the program is 10-minute long sessions. And I actually had the experience where, okay, maybe even 6 minutes or 7 minutes was me just being distracted the whole time. But even just having that 1 minute or like 30 seconds of, I don't know if you're familiar with meditation but like, it's a really cool experience when for 30 seconds you're like, oh wow, wait a second, I'm just hearing what I'm hearing, or like feeling my breath or something like that. And understanding, like, even if I have 30 seconds in 10 minutes, that's still a success and I can build on that. And I just don't need to have that, in poker, I feel so much too. You start a session and you get, I don't know, maybe you like bust 2 tournaments right away in the first hand and you're like, oh, this is going to be a great session. And you're like, here we go, this is going to be fun. And just understanding, it's like, okay, well, you can start again at any moment. You can do that with, as you're saying, like food, poker, meditation, whatever it is, like exercise, and just really reminding myself of that. And, I'm someone that, like, exercise is huge to me. And I've, constantly gone through that pattern of, okay, I'm in a routine for a couple months and then I fall out of it. And it's so hard to get back in, but it's like, why is that? And it's because it's like, I think we hold on so much of like, oh, I ate like shit yesterday, I didn't work out yesterday, I didn't do it. And you kind of like hate on yourself and kind of like spiral into this like, oh, well, whatever, last meal was bad, this meal can be bad. And yeah, it's just something I think that it is super helpful and something I try to remind myself of, just realizing like if I miss one workout, it's okay. Like, you know, if you're following a workout program and you're like, oh, I was on day 9 and I was supposed to do this program today, but you like skipped it. It's like, whatever, just start again tomorrow, just start again. And yeah, it's just a kind of a freeing attitude.
It makes me think I just listened to the podcast with Sam Harris, who talks about building habits. And there was a guy who went to the gym every day, but he was only allowed to stay 5 minutes. And so it was just like showing up. And that's really helped me. I have like my own little area now where I do my workouts at home. It's like, I just tell myself my hack is like, just go to the mat. And even if you do 10 crunches or whatever, and I never do, I end up just staying longer because I'm there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just little tricks like that. And it's kind of like, and I do miss sometimes, but if I do, I just say to myself, oh, you just go to the mat today. You know what I mean? And I just kind of, because I think we can like, I do the same thing where I make it bigger than it is. And I'm just like, even if I eat like shit, I'm like, fuck, well, like, what's the point? And then and I love, it's just like, it just gets huge. But I think shrinking it down too, for me, just, and making it small things too, because I'm just where it's like, I feel like I'm not working out if I go to yoga, or I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like, I need more.
Yeah. You're like, I need pain. I need sweat.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had that problem before because like I played sports in college, and that was so intense that my idea of working out was like, make yourself hurt. Like, you're going to be so sweaty, you're going to be sore, like you do workouts that you might throw up during the workout. And then like taking that and then realizing going on a 10-minute walk counts. I'm 37.
Yes.
Like, it's okay. Like, you're not going to be like super low body fat and doing everything. Like, I'm not training with a team 3 hours a day anymore. And just like forgiving yourself for not being like the perfect workout person or whatever is really big.
Yeah, especially if you're playing online poker, like those 10-minute walks or 5-minute walks make such a huge difference. Like, I don't know if you track your steps or something, but it can be sad. Like on a Sunday, how much movement you get is very low.
The Fitbit was so good for that, because I didn't realize playing live tournaments, you can get your steps in still, like especially around the Rio. I was like, as long as I don't just like find the first friend to talk to in the hallway and stand there for the 15 minutes. If I just walk for the 15 minutes, if you make it long enough in the tournament, you get your 10,000 steps in these tiny little increments that you don't even really like. They're pleasant to get that exercise while you're playing. Yeah, the yoga thing is so funny. I think it has to do with if you've played sports and stuff like that, like it's really hard to count things that aren't like sweaty and difficult as exercise. Like with yoga, I'm like, I enjoy doing it and it's good for me. I just can't do it for longer than like 10 minutes. I'll do quick little exercises to feel better mentally, but it doesn't feel like a workout because I'm not sweating and in pain. But that's so stupid, because it's like pleasant workouts are meditative, and it should be like, you know, that should be what I'm doing now that I can't be this like crazy soccer playing runner person.
I was just going to ask, what sports did you do?
Yeah, it was just soccer and long distance running. And long distance running is like, was mentally not even that good for me. Like the actual running was meditative and great. Like when I'd go on a 20-mile run, I'd feel amazing. But it was a culture of like being a little bit starving, super competitive with other people. Like the starving thing was real. Like the people would be like, I only ate 800 calories today. And the other girl's like, I haven't eaten yet. I'm like, what? This isn't a fun contest. Like, I don't enjoy this contest. Yeah.
No. When I was in high school, me and my friends, we used to I remember going to McDonald's and we're like, how many Big Macs can we eat? I miss those days, because when you're like,
I'm jealous.
Yeah, because when you're 16, well, when I was 16, like I could kind of eat whatever I wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, I can go eat like a foot long. So I wasn't in for the
Speaking of that, we're
thing.
recording this early. We're going to release it later, but the hot dog eating contest is probably on right now. And I realized that my friends were starting to put money on it. I'm like, man, people really miss gambling.
Oh my God.
I was just going to ask, in the context of live poker with this kind of, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe like mantra, but
sure.
How good are you at letting it go? Like, something I really struggle with when I make a mistake, and I know right after it was a mistake.
Yeah.
What's your process? Like, how do you let that go?
It's the worst. That's actually my biggest struggle with poker. So I relate to that a lot. I think, well, to be honest, I literally, that's something I still work with like Elliot Rowe on. I do like mental coaching sessions with him, but I think just being kind to yourself as you would talk to a friend. It's like, if I told you, oh, I played this, like I did this, and like, you know, especially when you know it's bad right away, it's like, okay, well, I've actually learned from my, like, you know, you kind of instantly learned, or you're aware of it, and just trying to see the positive sides to it and understand, like, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Like, I mean, you know, following all like the Triton High Roller Series stuff, as you see, like, pros aren't perfect. Like, they're great players, but like, you don't see them play like, you know, what is perfect in poker anyways, first of all. And we just put all this like pressure on ourselves that's not really fair, and that you would never, like, you know, the self-talk that happens after you make a mistake, you would never tell that to your friend. You'd never be like, oh, you suck, you're the worst, why are you here? You know what I mean? Like, never, ever. So I just try to remind myself, like, what would I say if this was a friend? And like change that. But then again, just be like, okay, I'm try to fuel it, like, to play better, and just like keep that focus going. And I'm definitely probably fortunate that I never let it kind of discourage me in the sense of I want to stop playing. For me, it's like, okay, now I need to like sit and punish myself for 20 hours if I can, because I played a hand bad. Yeah. And I need to like redeem myself. So I kind of go the other way. But I think that it is something that kind of goes along with, like, you know, being kinder to yourself. That's what I'm learning more about, even like meditation. And if you're failing at it, or you're like failing at yoga, it's like we tell ourselves these negative thoughts, and we're just, you know, it's like this self-critic that's sometimes, you know, we're really hard on ourselves, and it's just silly. And it's like, we would never be like that to a friend. So I think
but you'd have no friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes guys get away with being like that to their friends. So maybe
yeah.
They're honest.
You said something early on that struck me, because I literally did this yesterday, and I was like, why am I setting myself up for failure? It was at noon, and like our day starts late. It wasn't even the bracelet event yet, and I'm in some like $100 tournament, and I get kings, and I get in a spot where I get to 4-bet it, and this guy calls, and it comes out ace high, and I just go, I guess this is how today's gonna go. And like instantly I'm like, how pathetic is that? Like, I was like, this is so ridiculous to be in a $100 tournament early, where I'm like, this isn't even worth that much money. And I just decided I was going to be super unlucky. I'm like, okay, I guess today is the day I'm just not lucky. And I'm like, why do I write off a whole day where I'm playing like 5% of the value of the whole day? And I'm mad from one hand.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I had a bad mental poker day the other day. I threw things, and it happens. It's hard. Like, it's really hard. And some days are better than others.
Yeah. I can't picture you throwing things. I kind of would love to have video of that, because you've just always been very pleasant and like nice. When I'm commenting your final tables where more money, like way more money than online, will be on the line in a live tournament. Will like Poker Masters and USPO, you're just like, oh, well, like, oh, okay, I lost the flip, and like, you're super pleasant. I would love for once you just take your chips and just chuck them across the room.
Well, that did happen in a couple tournaments live. I have some witnesses that I'm like incredibly embarrassed, but I'm looking at like a hole in my desk I just like threw my phone very hard. And it's tough, like playing, you know, the accumulated tilt from tournaments and playing behind a computer screen, and, you know, there's...
Yeah, but even your rage was like kind of cute and Canadian. When Ludo beat you in that hammer I love that clip so much.
Play back with maybe a wider range than if I 3-bet, because I think just 3-betting looks really strong when it's clear that, like, I don't really have too many 3-bet bluffs here. So I'm just going to shove. Also, because I'm only shoving 35 big blinds into this player here. But it would be kind of a weird spot to 3-bet bluff, just because I would have to make it like 8 big blinds, and I'm committed versus this guy. And actually, Ludo, what the fuck?
Puppy! It's true.
Yeah, puppy.
Yeah, right! You want me to grab him? One sec.
Yeah. You're running away.
Camera shy.
Oh.
Say hi.
What's his name?
He's Riley.
Riley.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Riley, you're so cute. I'm so jealous of you for having a portable dog.
Yeah, that is one thing about them. They're so easy in that sense.
Yeah. Do you travel with your dog when you go?
I just started in January or February. I don't know if you remember, I got in trouble about having him in a winner's picture.
But it's so lame. I'm so tired of that argument because it's like, let people be happy. Like, let's have nice things. I understand you don't want to have like a 100-pound dog that people are afraid of. Or like if people are allergic and they say, oh, I'm allergic, could you take your dog? Of course you're going to take the dog away. I just think that sometimes people make a lot out of nothing. Like if you're down to like 4 people and they're like, oh, bring your dog. Bring your dog. Like, who cares?
Yeah, it's insane. And like I had a winner's photo with the dog and he's like, oh, you're seeking attention, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I'm seeking attention by my little dog, you know, because he's like 15 years old and I want a picture, you know, a winner's picture with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways.
Well, I'm fine with it. It would add happiness to my day to have your dog there. And then I understand, like, I would get their point if people complained who were there.
Yes.
Or if like dealers like, oh, I have like allergies. Then of course you're not going to do like something to hurt anyone. But yeah, it's like, it's usually someone on like Twitter complaining who wasn't there and shouldn't have any reason to care.
Exactly. Yeah. But sadly, I mean, social media is a mess right now. And sadly, people love to find things to be mad about. And hate on people, especially, you know, people who are whatever having success or
I was gonna say you're pretty I don't know if it's intentional, but you're pretty private. Is that intentional, or do you kind of it's just kind of the way it's been?
I think I've always felt very uncomfortable with social media. I don't know, it just feels weird to me. Like like sometimes party poker will ask me like take a selfie and I'm like, oh my god, like this is so awkward. I don't take selfies, like this is so weird. So I think it's just kind of maybe the generation. I guess it's not the generation I grew up in, but yeah, there's just a part of it that feels awkward. And self-promotion, like as you guys know, I think both of you, like I, you know, respect everything you guys have put out, and I think it's tough. And like honestly, I really like I think it's very brave of you guys like to be out there as much as you are, because it is tough. And I just, there's probably a part of me that isn't brave enough, honestly.
No, I feel you with certain things. Like I understand what you're saying though, because there's some stuff that I'm like, I'm proud of it. I'm like, I love when we have a good interview and we get some interesting stuff out of people. And it feels authentic to be like, check out our interview with Chrissy. Like she talked about this and taught us about this meditative technique, blah, blah. I feel very gross and weird being like, this is my face in front of chips. Like, I don't like that. I don't feel compelled to do that. And I don't understand it. And I know what you're saying, but then also I will spam the fuck out of you with like, this is crouton, baby crouton, pictures of crouton. Like, I feel like it's authentic and I feel motivated to do it. I don't like the other part where it's like, oh, I feel like I should post a picture of myself or whatever. I'm like, for what reason? Like, people know what I look like. They know what chips look like in front of me. It's like, I don't know. I get what you're saying. I don't like that part of social media.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. It's like, I could post dog pictures, but like, even, you know, like, oh, I won this tournament or something. It just feels braggy. And it's like, even, you know, the thing about social media being like highlight reels, it's like, I don't want to, you know, potentially, I know it's in the back of my head because there's people that are happy for you and things like that. And like, people want to see it. But then you do have, you know, I don't want to potentially make someone feel bad about themselves because I'm sitting here like bragging about myself, being like, my life's so great, when like, also it's not so great, you know, like, you know, there's those moments, you know, but I'm still a real person. And like, and especially in poker, it's like, God, I think, you know, what percentage of like the year is just pain every single day, right? So it's like, it feels a little inauthentic to be like, my life is so great, I'm winning poker tournaments and winning this much money. It's like, well, not really, because my buy-ins are really big. I just had like all these other things. So yeah, I think it's the like trying to be authentic with it. And it's just overwhelming to me too. So
yeah, I think though, like, I think that what you just said is pretty cool. It's why I like Andrew Nemi and Brad Owen's vlogs a lot, because they do go like, hey, I'm in a 20K downswing at this 2-5-10 game, and like, this hurts and this sucks. Here's my chart. Here's my graph, and it's bad right now. That's like really good to see, because I'm like, oh, I thought you guys were crushing it. And then they do show when they have a plus 5K day, and I'm like, okay, you're getting the authentic experience of being a live cash player when you see these people's swings and see that they're losing it a little bit when they're in their biggest downswing.
Exactly.
I think like your fans want to see you with your trophy. Like I like seeing how you're doing. I would feel like I don't know, like if you won some big thing and didn't post about it, I'd be like, wow, she just is so big time. She doesn't care about these trophies anymore. You know, like you really, it sucks to be so self-conscious about it. I feel like just like post it if you feel like that should be how people are. It's like if you win something, you feel great that day and you feel like you look cute, post the winner picture. And if you don't, like screw whatever, the people who are like trying to dictate how you use your social media.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and something I've always felt so strong about is, like, I'll say this to Alex sometimes, I think when, I don't know, like say poker's going like tough, it's like everyone's there when you're doing well and you don't really necessarily need the support. Like when you've just won tournaments, it's like you don't necessarily need everyone being like, oh my God, great job. It's like, well, for me personally, it's like I need that during like my downswing. So I'm like, where's everybody now? Nobody, you know, gives a shit about me now when I'm like, you know, really struggling here. So I'll say to him, like, oh, I'm proud of you, and like this is the moments that are key, right? That your like downswings are contained, and you know that you're handling and you're getting through it, you know, to the other side well. And yeah, I think when I look at who I follow on social media and what I try to, you know, I guess the content that I try to like intake is all people who are like really authentic, like you two. And I think it's really important. And
yeah, it's tough. It's a love-hate relationship. It's a day-to-day thing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. I wanted to ask you, because you've talked about it before, that, you know, that first year that you got Supernova Elite and you really kind of kicked it into overdrive. I'm just really curious, like, what was that specifically that like was motivating you? Like what clicked that year? What was it in your brain that said, hey, like I'm taking it to the next level?
Yeah. I think it was a spot in my poker career where I had probably been playing maybe professionally, quotation marks, for maybe like 2 or 3 years, and not really had, I think I probably had years where I won like maybe 20,000 or something like that in poker, which, you know, it was fine. It was nice as like a university student, but I saw people doing so well around me. And the year prior, I was playing tournaments and not really having success, or very much success, and found out about the Supernova Elite program. And I don't know, it was just a way to like really harness all my passion into poker. And the fact that like, for real, that was what I wanted to do. It's like every day, you know, if I could go out to like a party, I'd rather go play a poker game. Like it's just, I was so into poker, especially when I still am, but especially at that point, it was like all I wanted to do was play poker. And it just, it just seemed like the perfect kind of, I guess, challenge for me as well. I think I started playing like 50 cents a dollar. I had 10K, and I just loved the like, you know, a lot of people say cash games are boring because it's not like a competitive type thing, or you can't really, I guess it's hard like setting goals or things like that. And for me, it just seemed like the ultimate, like it was almost like a year-long tournament. It was like get 1 million VPPs, make whatever, $100,000 in rate back. And I was like, wow, like I think I have what it takes to, you know, put in these hours and stuff. And then like making 100K a year sounded massive to me. And it was just super motivating. And I was when I heard about it and felt like, you know, the volume wasn't an issue for me, I was just kind of like, let's go.
Do you think it has something to do with like, you kind of saw the clear path? Because sometimes in poker, I feel like it can be uncertain what the path is. Like, what do I do? Do I just play the series or this or the, and when you kind of see the steps you have to take laid out in front of you.
Yeah. And you have a goal that's clear. I mean, to be fair, I'm feeling exactly what you just said. I feel a little bit right now. And I think every poker player might, you know, I'm like, do I play like mid-stakes tournaments? Do I try to play the high-stakes tournaments? Like, what am I doing right now? It's a little bit of a weird time. Yeah. And yeah, with that, it was just like clear goal. Every single day I was like, okay, I need to make 7,500 VPPs. Had like a checklist. Okay, I could play my session from 10 a.m. to noon, and I was super organized. And it just felt like every day, even if I had a bad day at poker, it was like a success because I put in that volume, I got those points. And it actually, like, a lot of people talk about it being a really hard struggle, but for me, actually, it was probably a moment in poker where I was the most, I guess, like disciplined and structured. And because of that, I think I was like, to some degree, like quite happy and felt really good playing poker. It just felt like, very organized and the hard part about playing poker is like, if we don't set up like boundaries for ourselves, all of a sudden, you go to play a cash game session and you think you're going to play for like 8 hours, but then it goes like 30 hours. And now you've just ruined like 2 days of your life and, and all the feelings that come with that or things like that. So it was just, it was definitely an interesting little challenge that I set out for myself. And I think that's, really important in poker to kind of have that vision of, what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but me and you played, and you see we have a little tiny crouton face in the back.
Oh.
But I don't know if you remember, me and you played it was a 1500 WSOP or something together. And I remember feeling guilty after I left the table because me and you talked as if there were not 7 dudes there, just being like headphones. But I asked you about how you felt in the beginning of poker. Because I know, especially 7 or 8 years ago, some women tried to enter poker because they saw sponsorship opportunities.
Yeah.
And I don't fault that at all. There was a lot of stuff that, like, if you put yourself in the right place and you tried hard and you marketed yourself well, you could get a sponsorship. But me and you had this discussion where I think both of us kind of took a different path where, I know what you're saying about loving the game. I just wanted to play a lot. I wasn't looking at things like that. And you said something interesting where you said, I wanted to make sure I could win at poker without any other kind of exterior help, because you couldn't always depend on it being there. And I want to know if your thoughts changed, how you feel about being a sponsored pro, and are you happy with the way you took it instead of trying to jump on some opportunities earlier?
Yeah. Well, I think that one thing that sticks out in my mind is one of the first EPT events I went to. I had won a satellite package for the ladies Monte Carlo event. It's very vivid in my memory, but I remember going to this and seeing the Poker Stars pros and feeling, if anything, motivated not necessarily by the financial gain that I assumed that they had, but just the fact of kind of being at the top of poker. And I don't know if you guys have this experience, but when you first get into poker and you see they're a pro for this site, you just assume they're really, really good at poker. And there's this respect for them. And that's what I felt like. And I was I just always kind of felt in myself that I had what it took, but from a skill standpoint. And that, realistically, I'm not necessarily amazing with a video in front of me or a camera in front of my face. That's probably not my strength or, that part. But I knew that I was definitely driven on the competitive side of the skill thing. So I think that was something that if I was known in poker, I wanted it to be for talent and skill, and not necessarily that, I was a girl who could, try to make myself look cute to promote the game. It was I definitely, I guess because my passion lied behind the theory of the game and the skill of the game, especially. So it was just sort of, I guess, the way that I wanted to do it, but I definitely did always have goals of being really successful in poker. At the same time, it was just, that I still I just want to be known for, my achievements or skill or.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool way. I think that's what makes you a natural good role model for women getting into poker, because not every woman in poker, there could be someone who's 65 years old who goes, I want to start playing poker. And, a company isn't going to be wow, she's hot, I'm going to patch her up, but that lady can watch you play and say, wow, she's really good. And she got here in this way. And there are opportunities for everyone that if you had just from the first moment you stepped into poker were I'm cute, patch me up, emailing all these companies and being I want a sponsorship, that's a different road. And I don't fault people for going after opportunities at all, but I think it takes a lot to make sure that you are going doing the slow and steady and getting really good at poker before even really trying to get that. I think that's really cool and something that I don't know, I feel I harp on this so much when I'm commenting your final tables, but I'm I like that a lot about you, that you went about it in such a way that I'm oh, you make it seem this, you give a lot of credibility to female players, where I think guys not all guys, but the guys who want to cut a woman down will be oh, she's just sponsored because she's good looking, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people say that about you.
Yeah.
And like, because of the path that you took.
That's cool. Yeah. And I just to add to it, because I feel really strong about this, is that I definitely resented the idea of, especially when I got into poker, I don't remember exactly, and I don't want to point any fingers or anything, but I would always resent, you know, or not necessarily resent, but resent the idea of like, you know, just because like a female's good looking or something, then she's the face of poker, things like that. Like, that's not really what I stand for either. I want to see like women in poker, and I want to see them crush. And I want, you know, I definitely want women to feel comfortable playing poker. And I think that the way, it's not really a topic I love, like how do we get more women into poker, but I definitely like, I hate the idea that like, you know, the sponsored women are just there because they're pretty, but they're not good, you know? And it's like, that's why I love to see like women crush and like represent women well in that sense. So that was just something that I always felt really strong about too. And to be honest, that's why I'm playing the tournaments that I'm playing. Like, if it was just purely money, I would happily be like, you know, grinding a cash game at a casino, playing, you know, behind my computer screen. But I want to like, I don't know, sometimes it makes me sad when I see such a low representation of females in like, you know, 10Ks, things like that. And I'm like, I just want to show like women can do this, and that there's not some like huge advantage that men have, because I really resent that attitude. And like, you know, of course we have to harness it when we sit down at the poker table and understand we're underestimated and it's a good thing and all that. But yeah, I just think it's important for like someone to show up and beat them. So I'll do it.
I agree 100%. I also like, part of the reason I still am in poker instead of moving on to doing something else is because I feel like it feels good to represent like people. I don't know, like I don't want to call myself like a role model because I don't think I'm a role model.
You are.
Stop it. But for like commentary, it makes me happy to be behind the scenes. That has nothing to like, I could weigh 400 pounds or I could be a supermodel. It doesn't matter. They're just like listening. I make a joke. Like, I was like, that is very rewarding to me to be like, it doesn't matter that I'm female or what I look like or anything.
Yeah.
That feels good. And online poker feels good like that too, where I loved that from the beginning. It just being behind my computer, where I played live too, but I did always feel like there was an element of like gender was always some kind of element that I had to consider how people were playing against me.
Yeah.
Being behind my computer was great, where I'm like, I'm playing this because I love this, and no one knows I'm a girl, and I never would like, I didn't tell anyone my name. And it felt really good to just be part of this game without any other factors like entering my brain during a hand. Like, do you feel like that now? Because I feel like you've thrived live as well, but you were mostly an online person. Was that part of what you loved?
Well, I started playing live for one thing, and I'll tell you that I used to feel that way. I remember complaining when I first, like the first year or two of poker, I was like, why can't I just like be a guy? Like, I didn't want that, like, you know, lack of respect at the table, and I was really uncomfortable with that. And I literally said, I was like, I think like it would be really interesting to dress up as a guy and like do that. And because it isn't a good feeling necessarily when you sit down and you understand that everyone's looking at you like you're a fish, that you're stupid, whatever it might be. It's like not a nice feeling necessarily.
Or they're just paying a ton of attention to everything you do. You can't just like anonymously play poker. They're like, oh, that girl 3-bets too much. I know because I'm watching what she's doing. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I just learned to harness it, honestly, and just understand, like, you know, especially I guess because I understand that I look I'm not intimidating.
Innocent. You don't look like you're up to no good.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really fun proving them wrong. And just trying to kind of go with that, I think, and understand. I mean, after like hours and hours of poker, I just understood how huge of an advantage it is, honestly. And it's just make the best of that situation. But I understand liking, you know, being behind a computer screen and nobody not having that, because it is a different game, right? Like, it's a totally different game, actually. Even, you know, having like your real name shown on, you know, Party Poker right now, it's different than if you were like whatever Riley124 and nobody, you know, knew you were a girl. It's still different. So I understand both sides. I understand what you mean.
We interrupt this podcast with an important message from our sponsors at Run It Once. Due to continued community enthusiasm at Run It Once Poker, we've extended our popular daily leaderboard program. From now until July 12th, every player on Run It Once Poker has the chance to compete for a pool of over €15,000 in prizes across 6 daily leaderboards and 1 weekly leaderboard. The program includes 3 No Limit Hold'em leaderboards and 3 Pot Limit Omaha leaderboards that will pay out prizes to the top 10 players for each given day. Plus, we've got 1 200 PLO leaderboard that will pay out to the top 15 players of the week. For full details, head to once.run/daily. And, as always, if you're looking to improve your poker game, be sure to check out Run It Once Training, where membership gives you access to the largest library of high-quality poker training content on the web, with over 5,000 videos from a stable of some of the biggest names in the industry, including Run It Once founder Phil Galfond. Sign up now through once.run/learn and you'll get free access to 3 of their elite level videos. And now, let's get back to the pod.
Do you find that in the high rollers and stuff, it's less of a thing? I just kind of feel like as you play against better players, like they just kind of see you as a series of decisions. They don't really, you know what I mean? Like it's less of a thing. And I think, I don't know if this has been your experience, but I just think, I don't know, not that I play as big as you or whatever. I just, even at the 5-10 level, it's better than 1-3. It's,
oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like live cash.
Yeah.
That's where I really feel it. And I feel like maybe the one day we played together at Aria, I had just played, for some reason I was waiting at like 1-2 PLO before, I forget what game you ended up playing, but I was like, oh my God. Like, so I was playing, I was used to like playing 5-10 or whatever, 10-20, and went and played, I was waiting for a game and I was like, whatever, I'll just play 1-2 PLO. Like, I don't know how to play PLO at all. I'm like, how do you even look at 4 cards? And like, everybody's so mean, or it was not a nice environment at all.
It really, I don't know. I think that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I think but I was gonna say, like, for me, when I do play a bit higher than normal, like the uncomfortable and insecurity comes from just being like wanting to prove myself
in your own head.
In my own head, yeah. How do you get over that? Like, do you have that, like, where you want to prove that you're, I don't know.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's probably, I think, the toughest thing about making the transition to like high stakes, without a doubt. And I think that that's what you'll see like amongst every reg almost. I think that just having confidence with yourself and understanding that I think me and Jared Tendler, like from the Mental Game of Poker, we came up with this, but when you're sitting at the table, you're not playing that like, I deserve to be here game. You're just playing your poker, your hands, you know, and just playing each hand as it's given. And if you're playing a hand versus whatever, like D. Peters or something, then okay, like you have information on him, he has information on you, you have 2 cards, he has 2 cards. Like, you just have to get over that whole like caring what people are thinking about you. But it's tough, and definitely, you know, for me, I feel like when I first started playing like high roller events, I don't think I necessarily had much success, or that I had. I'm not really sure how to say that because I'm obviously like biased. I feel like there was a lot of stops that didn't go well versus what did go well. But I mean, like moving up and not doing well, it's so frustrating and such a different experience, because if I sit down at like what you're saying, if I sit down at like a 25K that's full of regs versus a 5K that has like recreational players and weaker regs, it's just like completely different experience. Because I can actually feel some form of respect from people versus like the high roller scene is weird. It's there definitely isn't like the disrespect as you would find at a 1-2 table, but it is like a little bit cliquey, and people, and, you know, to be at that level, you have to have like, you know, a pretty high level of confidence in yourself. So I don't think you're going to see mental weaknesses at least show from players, right? Like, that's the one thing that, like, even if they're thinking all these things in their head, like, you're not really seeing much emotion from them.
Yeah. What's funny too is that like I think you have to learn early on that you have to just be like, you have to have self-respect and be happy with how you're playing and be happy with what you're doing with your life. Because if you're trying to get respect from your peers, especially in like high stakes poker, everyone is so nitpicky. Like I'm watching people play and I'm like, I know these people would crush my soul if I played them.
Yeah.
But they'll be bickering amongst themselves about like, oh my God, you're betting that turn, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, these mistakes, if they're even mistakes, are probably so tiny and so infrequent. But nobody likes to give each other any credit.
No.
And it's just funny to me, 'cause I'm like, even if you got to be the best, you'll never get consensus that you're the best ever. Like, so just being accepted as like, oh yeah, Chrissy plays like high rollers, and like having no one trash talk you and just like, oh, she's garbage. Like that's about as good as you can get from your peers.
No, absolutely. And I think dropping that is probably one of the biggest keys to success in poker. And you know, I think for some reason, I feel like the female poker players that I've talked to kind of, I don't know if it's like a feminine trait, but I feel like we tend to do that a little bit more than
I have imposter syndrome a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with tournaments, especially like, you know, people like criticize and rank people based on cashes so much. And to me, like, I don't respect people. No, I mean, not necessarily like just mob. Like, you know what I mean? Like I respect people who are consistently working and like just playing well. Like, I just think that like the measure of success, especially in tournaments, is so kind of off. And in my own mind, I'm like, oh, if I can only just get a cash, if I can only just get this, if I can only just move up or whatever.
But it's like, and then something like that's come up with this whole topic when I do like coaching sessions to talk about this is, even if I won like a super high roller bowl, there's still going to be people who say like, oh, she got lucky, she's not that good. Like that, you're never going to get that like real respect that we think we want. Like it's kind of just like, you know, not attainable. All these people who are like, they suck. And it's like, they're looking at someone who's been professional for 10 years. And it's like, I don't think they suck.
Always something I always say, like, if someone's been a pro for 10 years and consistently is not broke and consistently performing, I might not agree with their specific methods or every hand they play, but like, you have to respect that person. Like, you know how hard it is to be around for that long, consistently competing, consistently. And that person is so much more respected in my mind than someone who just binks a high roll and then just disappears.
And also, like, it's a dangerous like thought pattern, I think, to get into, because if you don't all of a sudden notice what your opponents are doing that is good, because everybody, like, even like sometimes fish do things that are really good. Like you see pros just like dust off chips to like some whale because he actually like did something like intelligent and like not having this like, oh, I'm sitting down at the table and I'm better than everybody. Like you just like can't necessarily do that. Like you have to see like everybody has weaknesses, everybody has strengths, but like just saying like, oh, that person's not even that good. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Like that's something I think is terrible. And I think that when we realize that if someone's judging you, if they're coming from that place, like who cares what they say? Because like, you know, if you got the respect of, I'm not going to name any names, but let's just say somebody who speaks like that, it's like, it probably means you need to play in a way that's like them. And there's, wait a sec, like sometimes this happens to me because I'll be like, oh, I know that this person doesn't respect my game. And then I'm thinking like, I don't really respect their game and they haven't done that well. But it's like, wait a second, they're like disrespecting me, but I'm having results. And like, then I'm caring about what they think of me. It's just like this weird cycle that happens.
I know.
It takes so much brain space too. Like that's when if you're thinking and worrying about that, like about someone at your table who like, maybe they're kind of mean and, oh, if I play like this, they're going to say this about me. You're wasting so much brain space with like such a negative emotion that is so out of your control. And like, I don't have, like, I feel like I'm slightly removed from the actual like poker playing, but I get that in my head with like commentating and it really bothers me. And like sometimes it doesn't at all. And I'm happy and I'm like so happy in the booth and I'm like commentating with my friends and like everything feels great. And then when I like let those feelings in my head, it ruins everything. And I just feel like, oh, now I'm afraid to like make a joke. I'm afraid to talk about this hand where I feel like it's a cool hand. And I feel like that bleeds into everything. And like recognizing the things that are in your control and not in your control is like the most important thing. You cannot control people not liking you or people thinking that you play bad. That's them,
Exactly.
and they're not going to get convinced. Chrissy, someone who
Yeah.
thinks you play bad, how many hands are they really going to see that will ever convince them otherwise?
It's
like
insane.
impossible.
And not just that, but like I think like look at the sometimes I watch hands from high rollers of people who are like the best players in the world, and I'm like, oh my god, if this face and name wasn't behind this card, if it was me, if it was you, they would be like, they're so bad.
Yep.
It's like, wait a second, it's Linus. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
They'll be like, oh, I don't understand this, but like they'll just give him any benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Oh, he must have gotten a read, or he must have history with this guy.
Yep.
Like, you're really, but it's just like so far. It's like nobody's objective. Nobody's really just looking. Not nobody, but like very few people I feel like are just objective and say like, look at this like series of decisions, whatever. And I kind of, not to like take the female like approach totally, but it kind of goes the opposite way with women too, where like I think sometimes like people will like, I'll do something that's like very standard or like whatever and be like, oh, good job. But it's just like, because there's so few of us, I'm like, that wasn't that great. Like,
you're like, wow, you're actually capable of that.
Oh my god. I've gotten so much of that in live poker. Like Marley, I know me and you have been in the same streak for a little while. Like playing 5-10, you will get the most patronizing, like, oh wow, you're not bad. Like it's this shocking thing if you can do something even slightly decent. That's like worse than someone saying you suck, where they're just like surprised you're not stupid. I'm like,
oh, I get messages like that a lot. Like, oh my, like I can't believe how, like, so basically like you're so good for a girl. I get that a lot. I just learned to accept it.
I mean, I've noticed, like, I even was going to do it. I didn't get a chance to interview you at Triton, but I wanted to, and I was thinking of questions. And it's funny because even as a woman in poker, I fall into the trap of doing everything as the angle of female. And it annoys me, frankly. Like, people do it to me, like, constantly.
Yeah.
Does it annoy you, or do you just kind of think it's just part of the...
Good question. I think it depends the angle that it's going on. I think yes and no. I don't like it when it's like the boyfriend stuff gets brought up in it. I think that's sometimes a little bit annoying. And like one thing that comes to mind that really upset me is I was playing my first 100K and the person asked me for an interview during one of the breaks, which I don't necessarily even want to do, especially during 100K. Like my first 100K, like if I have a break, I want to be taking my break as it might prepare me for whatever. Anyways, but I did the interview, and he basically says, how did Alex help you prepare for this event? And I'm just like, okay, wait a second. Like, sure, he's had more success than me at that point, and like had done well in some high rollers, but again, it was like, a handful of tournaments. I've been playing poker longer than him. Okay, just all of this other stuff, and it's like, not just that, but nobody's ever going to ask me that question.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Nobody ever asked. Like, I don't think anyone's ever asked how is she helping?
Probably not.
You know what I mean? And it's like that kind of stuff bugs me, because it's like, why is there that assumption? And like, it was just without any knowledge of like, and this was when we first started dating too. It wasn't like, I don't know.
And I got a good response for you if that ever happens to you again. You should be like, he made me scrambled eggs and did my laundry.
That's amazing. I like that one. And usually he is the one to go get coffee and stuff. So I should.
Yeah, and it's an annoying assumption too, because you had success on your own, he had success on his own, and this is something that like you shouldn't feel bad about studying with him or something. Like you guys will make each other better. When two guys who are really good at poker become friends or become housemates for the summer, they will study together, they'll solve together, they're going to go through hands they played, and they don't have to feel like they're getting some leg up just because they're not sleeping together. Like, is that really a thing? I'm like, if you are dating someone and you're both good at poker, why can't you make each other better? But it's like there's a weird spin put on it when it's a male female like romantic relationship, and I don't understand that really. I think it's kind of lame.
And I'm trying to think what else as far as like the female thing. I think that like going back to what you were saying about, you know, interviewing you, and it's hard. I think in a setting like that, when there's so few, I don't know if there was any other females at that series.
No. Yeah.
No, there was none. Yeah. So I think that in a way, you know, maybe what I was saying, like there's really no women like representing in those fields, and maybe shining some spotlight on it can kind of show like you can play these, like, hello, women can enter, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, maybe if, I mean, Vanessa Selps, like she definitely, I to be honest, I don't really like follow the results and everything, but I'm pretty sure she had pretty good success in high rollers, right? And it's like, just seeing that, I think even for me, it's like, okay, like it's possible. Like I don't need to feel like this is some like, you know, there's like some ceiling and like, oh, I could never play a 25K and win it. It's like, it's just a poker tournament, you know, at the end of the day. Sometimes they're softer than like a 10K, to be fair.
Seeing Kathy Laney was cool. Seeing Lauren Roberts, like, because I think that there should be like a lot of different female representation, because I don't think it has to be, okay, like you better be the best player and very serious or you're not credible. I think it's really cool for someone to come from the business world and just be like, I have a lot of money that I earned from something else and I want to play just like businessmen do.
I love it.
And it's cool. Like I think that people in interviews, like I know I'm guilty of it too, and I think in commentary I even highlight sometimes that, oh, this female doing well. But I think it would actually do us really well if we just focused on some other interesting aspect and completely ignore the fact that like it's a woman. If you go into an interview being like, that's probably the least interesting part about this person who has navigated through poker to get to this level.
Right. Yeah, I know. And it's just such a tough thing because it's still a unique thing to see, you know, and like, if you're the only female at the table, you stand out, and like, is that ever going to disappear? I don't know. It's tough.
I hope so. I think in like up until the pandemic, I was realizing that it wasn't such a novelty to be a woman at the table anymore. And especially like mid-stakes cash is a pretty good spot for women to be right now. I never felt weird. It hardly ever got pointed out after a while because I'm like, oh, sometimes there's two other women at the table. And it's just not that like cool and different anymore. And I feel like that's actually like, I don't get as many stupid comments anymore. Like two women will be in a pot and it used to be like, rare cat fight. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is so annoying. And it's never been a funny joke. And recently it hasn't been like that. So I don't know, maybe we're going in the right direction.
Definitely. And I think that a casino that comes to mind is like Seminole. I feel like there's a lot of women poker players in that area. Vegas, I think it's similar. I've definitely been at tables recently where it was actually more women than men, and it was like it was either like a cash game or a tournament that wasn't a ladies event. It's interesting though, when you go to different parts of the world, how you can see that like in Europe, it's still very, I guess, it feels like they're a little bit behind, and it's like, like EPT Prague. I think I was like, it really felt like I was the only female in the poker room. Like it was crazy. There's just,
it's like some other areas of the world, like women don't get involved in like any kind of competition. Played like the World Cup of Vegas. It was just that soccer thing where like different countries are represented and we play against each other. So the one year was like 2 years ago, we're playing, I think Akari was on Brazil's team and Chrissy Arnett and I were on Team USA, and it was like 99% males, but we wanted to play. And Akari was like, at first, like, oh, we don't play females in our country. So he kind of like backed off, and Chrissy just like checks him into the boards. It's indoor soccer. And he was
that's
like,
amazing.
Oh, okay, we're playing.
That's awesome.
Like, and it was like normal after that. But it was like a politeness thing almost, that he was just like, oh, I'm not going to like hit this little girl. And like, she's going to hit you.
You're like, you're fine. Go ahead. I'll play. Yeah.
It's interesting though. So you've done like a ton of traveling, and since we're all stuck in our houses right now, do you want to just tell us about like your favorite spot that you've gone to for poker?
I mean, it's so tough because I don't know if you guys are like this, but I feel like I have like good memories from places. Like Vegas is definitely the place I've had the most success. So, and it feels a little bit like my second home. So I do kind of miss Vegas. And it's just for poker. It's incredible.
I miss Vegas right now, and I live here. 20 minutes away, and I can't go.
It's just different. It's crazy. I mean, Australia is great. Monte Carlo. I'm trying to think if there's like a number one favorite. I think it's hard to pick, but let me think. Prague used to be one of my favorite spots. Kind of been there, done that now. But I think that's the key is like, it's always really cool for the first time of like checking out a country that's really different. Like the first time I went to Prague was the first time I'd ever traveled to like Eastern Europe. So it was just like incredibly new. And then, the first time I went to Australia, that was a really cool experience. So I think what my favorite thing is probably just exploring new places. I would say that over just like having a number one favorite.
Is there a spot, like what's the first thing you're going to do when the world is like more normal? Is there a spot you want to travel to or like anything you want to do?
I think I'd probably just want to travel anywhere. I'm thinking at first I was like, I feel like I just want a vacation because I've been playing online like so much, like go to Hawaii or like do a beach vacation type thing. And now I definitely kind of want it to be a poker stop. So a poker stop anywhere. Playing live poker, I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, I really miss it.
What are you going to be doing coming up for online events and stuff?
There's the WPT on the World Online Championship coming up on Party Poker. And it's kind of a long series, actually. I just realized. I was looking at the schedule for that. And then I guess there's the GG stuff. So yeah, I guess just focusing on tournaments and like the last few weeks I've been trying to take it a little bit easier, like playing 3 or 4 days a week. But I'm guessing once the series starts, it's just going to be like every day. Yeah. On the grind.
We have to wrap kind of soon, but I wanted to give you a chance. Hopefully we won't release this after it, but I was looking at your Twitter about the charity event that WPT and Party are running together. Do you want to just give a quick plug?
It's the 29th, yeah. So they are running it's an $1,100 shooting star event. The $100 collected for Rake, all of that's going to go to this charity that is raising money to find a vaccine for COVID. And I don't know how many bounties they're putting in the field, but I know there's a bunch. I know like Ryan Reese's, myself, Roberto Romanello, Mike McDonald, I think is as well.
Cool.
So yeah, it's just kind of a cool event. I think it's always nice to, have, I don't know, those moments when you see poker organizations like raise a lot of money for charity. It kind of just gives you a little bit of a warm feeling, I think. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, oh, we're not just all degenning totally, like we're doing something for society.
Yeah. I feel that. I know, because it gets a little bit draining to be like, we're all just out to get each other's money, and it's like this dog-eat-dog poker community. And then sometimes you're like, okay, there are nice people. Like, don't generalize the whole community when like you see people fighting on Twitter or whatever.
Absolutely. And I think in general, I try to remind myself, I think poker players in general are quite generous. And, I certainly feel like if I needed help, like so many people would help me. And I think that's true for a lot of poker players, especially those who have been like fortunate, that we want to kind of like give back or help each other. I think that's how, people get in spots where, I don't know, they're staking friends who have gone broke and, probably not really, they're only doing it in a way to like help the person out, not necessarily because it's a plus EV financial situation, but, like the emotional side of it. And I think you see that a lot in poker.
For sure. I mentioned the dog rescue randomly because it's what I want to do eventually. Every person I talked to about it was like, oh yeah, I'll help you with that. Yeah. Like, oh sure, if you got it off the ground, like I would donate. And I'm like, wow, poker is really nice, because I wasn't even like soliciting donations or anything. Yeah. It was like, if you get this off the ground, I'm sure I'll help out or I'll donate time. Like some people are like, I want to get involved if it's in Vegas. And I feel like that's really cool, because I feel like you, where I'm like, if you really don't pay attention to it, you start to feel like it's a negative community. Yes. It's like the stuff that gets thrown in your face is a lot of arguments and like a lot of petty stuff. Yeah. But, I mean, at the core, I think people are pretty nice in poker.
Definitely. And I think that when the funny thing about poker is how it desensitizes you to money, and you're like, oh wait, I just like bought into $1,000 tournament. What's like $1,000 shopping order online? Yep. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, oh wait, I can actually like help you out and, put one of my buy-ins to that, it kind of feels nice, I think, and something we're not really necessarily used to, or we don't necessarily have the opportunity to do that, even if we want to. So.
For sure. And the charity thing that you're doing, that is just outside of the US? or is it something people can do from?
That is a good question. I believe so. Yes. I don't know.
Probably.
Okay. I'm assuming probably. Yeah. If it's like if it's an event online, you have to play, unless like New Jersey's doing.
That's
something.
what I was gonna say. Is I'm not sure if New Jersey is. Yeah.
Okay. And also, that's like, we need more sites. Like, there's just right now it's a monopoly in Nevada, and it's a little bit makes me a little sad because I feel like some people in the company are doing a very good job on WSOP.com. Like Daniel Barilli is definitely doing a very good job with like helping poker players get some events added and everything.
Yep.
But competition's good for everyone. If there was just another site, they would have to fix these little things that have been problems the whole time.
Yeah.
I understand why they're not right now, because like businesses just want to make money, and like they're doing a good enough job for people to put a lot of money on their site.
Yeah.
So
is there a lot of traffic on WSOP?
Right now it's massive. The bracelets are way bigger than I thought. Like each first is like yesterday first was I think 130K or something, and a 400. They got like 1,200 unique entries, something like that.
Oh,
so I don't know how it'll be through the whole series, but even the little series they were running as soon as quarantine started, we're getting just like twice the guarantees we would normally get. Hasn't died down that much, so I think that the value is there for a company that can get a licensing or get their license out here.
Sure, yeah.
It's a long time coming. We will let you go, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I feel like I want to interview you guys.
No. Yeah.
Thanks for showing us your dog and everything. That's like what I'm usually going for on these pods.
Dogs are the best. I don't know how I would have gotten through the last like months without him, honestly.
No. Our babies.
Yes. All right. Well, good luck, you guys.
You too.
All right, you too.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
See you next time.
See ya.